I'm always very grateful to people who leave quite elaborate comments, partly because of the time that they spend doing so, and partly because of the content. And even if I agree with it or don't agree with it, it's always interesting. Snoggy Dog has said, I have a Russian friend who was at a KGB training college with the young Putin. He later left Russia and resides somewhere I won't disclose. He told me years ago that Putin was gay and that it was well known within KGB circles. He also said that by KGB standards, Putin was not clever, failing to pass exams for the higher jobs of spy, linguist, etc. A few years after becoming a member of the KGB, Putin was offered the chance of going to work for them in Germany, but as he was unmarried and no KGB agent would ever be allowed out of the country if they were not married, that is how he found his first wife, although there has been much quiet speculation as to whether he fathered her children or if she already had them from a previous relationship. Documentation containing their dates of birth and so on could not be traced. Reports of his alleged death have been circling around Russia for some time. Your report on here is the most believable that I have heard. Well, I hope so. I would also add that I've also heard reports, quite well substantiated reports, and indeed I've spoken to one or two people who claim to have been the authors of the various pieces of work that Putin submitted for his education. And so I entirely agree. This is somebody who has clawed his way to the top of the system by ruse and by determination. But you shouldn't underestimate his determination. If you're as determined as all these rumors suggest, then you're pretty determined. And as for the alleged death of Vladimir Putin, Vladimir Vladimirovich, as well as the resurfacing claims about his sexuality, this reveals as much about the political climate in Russia and the state of information warfare in the modern age as it does about the truth. It tells us a great deal. The motivations behind these rumors, the broader implications of Russian politics and international relations, and the whole issue about his sexuality, of course, tells you a lot about the contempt in which LGBTQ plus people are held in modern Russia. So calling Putin gay today is a statement of contempt. Questioning whether or not Putin was gay in the past, I think that's slightly different. And so I think there's a lot more credibility about the gay story than maybe there is about the story of his death or even of his cancer. But I'm inclined to believe all three stories. The claims about Putin's death gained traction following reports from the Telegram channel General SVR, which has itself established an anti-government bias as a source of information, and the channel reported that Putin had suffered a cardiac arrest on October the 20th in 2023 at his residence in Valdai, with later updates suggesting that he had died on October the 26th after failed resuscitation efforts. The time and the details provided by the channel were later echoed by political analyst Valery Solovey, who added further context by recalling previous reports of Putin's ill health, including a cancer diagnosis that he made in 2019. Solovey's claims are notable not only for their content but also for their timing and potential implications. So he suggested Putin's death was both humiliating and well-deserved, tapping into the narratives of those critical of Putin's long and increasingly controversial reign. And Solovey's connection to the General SVR channel and his assertion of representing a powerful international organization lend an air of intrigue to the story. and they raise questions about the reliability and the intentions of these sources, but they are two different sources. And I've heard these stories from other sources as well, independently. The Kremlin, not surprisingly, was quick to dismiss these reports. Dmitry Peskov, Putin's longtime spokesman, labelled the rumours as just another duck, a Russian term for a baseless rumour. However, the very fact that the Kremlin felt the need to respond to such claims suggests a degree of sensitivity and concern about the narrative surrounding Putin's health and his potential demise. Ukrainian intelligence, represented by Andrei Yusov, also weighed in, indicating that while they could not confirm the reports, they recognized the strategic utility of the rumors, and Yusov suggested that the rumors might have been disseminated to observe the reactions within Russia's elite circles, effectively testing the waters for any power shifts or loyalty fluctuations that might occur in the event of Putin's actual death. And so that's and indeed, when these rumors came out, there were noises made about a succession. So the issue was very specific. On the 20th of October, yesterday at about 21:05 Moscow time, security officers heard a noise and sounds of a fall coming from the president's bedroom. Two security officers immediately went to the president's bedroom and saw Putin lying on the floor by the bed and an overturned table with food and drinks. Probably during the fall, the president hit the table and the drinks and brought them to the floor. He was resuscitated. They resuscitated the dictator, having previously found out that he had suffered a cardiac arrest. 4 days later, after the news of the arrest, the same telegram channel said that he had died at 20:42 Moscow time. And on Thursday, the 26th of October, he died, absolutely, he died at 20:40, on Thursday, the 26th of October, irrevocably, finally, humiliating, true, but absolutely deserved. There is no doubt about his physical death. That's what Valery Solovey said in an interview with Dmitry Gordon. And so, it's very specific. It's very specific stuff. As indeed is speculation about his sexuality. The rumours of his death are paralleled by the resurfacing speculations about whether he is gay. And these go back to a book by the Russian biographer Stanislav Belkovsky. And the book explores the idea in about 2 pages, I've got a copy, that Putin might be latently gay, a claim that seems to be a thinly veiled critique of Putin's hyper-masculine public persona, which has been very carefully curated through numerous photo ops showing him engaged in rugged outdoor activities. I am man. Belkovsky's speculation is provocative, particularly in the context of Russia's stringent new anti-gay laws, which have made all association with homosexuality a serious taboo in Russian society. But it wasn't like that when I first came across this book and first wrote about it. The idea that Putin's divorce and his close relationship with his dogs could be interpreted as further evidence of latent homosexuality is as much a commentary on Putin's personal life as on the broader norms that his government has reinforced. In fact, I know from personal experience and from meeting the dogs that Putin has used the puppies fathered by his dogs as a way of encouraging compliance and affection, and the puppies were given to people who were very much part of Putin's entourage. I've met some of the puppies. They're much older now. And the suggestion that Putin might have sought a father figure in Boris Yeltsin or a surrogate brother in Roman Abramovich further deepens his psychological profile, painting a picture of a man who, despite his iron-fisted rule, is deeply insecure and emotionally scarred by his upbringing. You remember the story of the boy cornering the rat on the staircase. The credibility of these rumours and the speculations is, of course, the thing. The sources, particularly General SVR and Solovey, of course, lack the transparency and verification that could lend their claims more weight in rigorous investigative journalism, and the speculative nature of Belkovsky's claims about his sexuality echo other unsubstantiated rumours about public figures, such as the long discredited claims about Pope Paul VI. These narratives often serve more as tools of political or social commentary rather than as credible accounts of personal truth. And they might be a way of deflecting attention from more believable stories, like claims about Pope Paul VI's predecessor, John the 23rd. Critics argue that these rumours and speculations reflect a broader trend of disinformation and psychological operations aimed at destabilising perceptions of leadership and governance. In Putin's case, the persistent rumours about his health and his personal life may be part of a concerted effort to undermine his image, both domestically and internationally, and the strategic leaking of such information, whether true or false, can have real consequences, influencing elite behaviour, public opinion, even international diplomatic calculations. There's also, to add fuel to the fire, the fairly substantiated claims about Putin's use of doppelgangers. If the doppelgangers exist, how do we know that the real Putin still exists? So, for example, if Mexico were to invite Putin to attend the inauguration of its new president, and they arrested somebody, he could quite easily turn around and say, "No, I am not Putin. I am a doppelganger. Here is my real passport." There's an element of madness about all this, but also an element of strategy. And these rumours, whether intended as genuine leaks or as deliberate misinformation, by either side, by Russia or by Ukraine, highlight the importance of critically assessing the sources and motivations behind sensational claims, not ignoring them, but assessing them. In my case, I've assessed these claims and I poke fun at them, and I've drawn a little picture of Putin in the fridge because I think it's funny. Now, do I think it's real? I don't know. Certainly the Putin that I see on television is not the Putin that I shook hands with years ago. It's a different person. But maybe I was not important enough, significant enough to meet the real Putin. Maybe I met the doppelganger. I don't know. Who am I to, as Pope Francis says, who am I to say? But this is a media landscape that is fraught with speculation, gossip, and fragility, because the reality is suppressed. And those who want to manipulate reality, as the Kremlin does, must recognize that this is the consequence.